Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler 2, the rematch just took place in the feature fight of UFC 266, and what an emotional roller coaster this entire fight was. I need to give you guys my reaction. Robbie Lawler finished him in the third round by TKO, and I was emotionally all over the place during this fight, but let's start at the beginning. Nick Diaz walks out to the Deftones, the crowd goes absolutely wild, and I feel a rush of euphoria starting off this fight. Nick Diaz hasn't been in the cage in however long it's been ages since we've seen Nick Diaz in the cage. He's walking out to the cage. I've still somewhat got my fingers crossed that he doesn't get hit by a crowd member accidentally or trip over on his way up the cage steps. He makes it into the cage, and there is this rush. Nick Diaz is back. He might actually win against Robbie Lawler. I picked Robbie Lawler to TKO Nick Diaz, by the way. However, there might be a chance that Nick Diaz wins this one, and I am amped up beyond belief. The crowd is going wild. I'm going wild. My stomach is in all kinds of knots. Nick Diaz is in the cage. He's about to take on Robbie Lawler. Then, after all of the emotional, hyped feeling I had, I suddenly hit myself with a reality check once he was in the cage of, oh my god, what if he gets Evander Holyfielded? What if his legacy is tarnished by this one moment where he doesn't look like himself at all? And then Nick Diaz starts to fight. And I still have a sliver of hope that maybe Nick Diaz wins, because I was rooting for Nick Diaz here. I want Nick Diaz to win. He brings way bigger fights than Robbie Lawler does at this point in his career, and he could set up a Masvidal fight for himself. There were so many more fun things to do with Nick Diaz here. So he starts the fight, and I'm still kind of nervous for him, but still excited for the fight as well. And he jump spinning tornado kicks. I don't even know what the technique was. I just know that he span in an absolute mess in the air immediately into the fight against Robbie Lawler, and he fell over in the middle of the cage. And I thought to myself, oh fucking no. Oh no. It's not going to go too well for Nick Diaz. And I want to mention this right now before I get any dislikes. I truly believe, and I know that there's some people out there that are going to completely disagree with me and say that this would never happen in the UFC, and there are going to be some people out there that do agree with me as well. I believe, and I'm sorry to say this because Nick Diaz did look good, and we can talk about the fight itself. Nick Diaz was landing good body shots, moving around on the outside, but let's talk about the elephant in the room here. I think Robbie Lawler was told to make it a bit more of a fight. And I'm feeling the dislikes. I can feel your dislikes on this video. I'm so sorry. It's just how I feel. I believe either Robbie Lawler was told or he wanted to do so himself. He made this more of a fight than it should have been. Potentially intentionally. Okay, I'm so sorry, but that first round, the punches that Robbie Lawler was throwing at the face of Nick Diaz, they were in no way intended to hurt him in any way whatsoever. I've watched Robbie Lawler fight for so many years. I've never seen him throw punches. In the first round of a fight, he's amping himself up in the corner. He's ready to explode. He goes out there in the first round. He has some moments, couple of body shots, couple of good leg kicks as well. Diaz has a couple of moments as well where he lands a few shots. But Robbie Lawler, and I don't put this lightly, is throwing fake punches against Nick Diaz in the first round. I'm calling it out right now. He was throwing fake punches against Nick Diaz. He had no intention of KOing Nick Diaz in the first round. Now, I did predict Robbie Lawler to TKO Nick Diaz in the first round. That did happen. I swear to you, he wasn't trying to finish him in the first round. He wanted to make this a bit of a fight. He wanted to get into a scrap either on his own behalf or maybe the UFC paid him, and I'm not beyond thinking that because this is major sports. This stuff happens when there's a big star on the line and Nick Diaz is coming back and all of a sudden his countdown episode's got 2 million views and Volkanovski and Ortega's one's got a couple of 100,000. I feel that Lawler's punches in the first round were so fake, it's weird to me. And I really am having a little bit of anxiety moving forward in the UFC, especially towards the end of that night. over what really goes on, because Lawler, you weren't throwing real punches, dude. And I know you could say he's setting up his other shots, man. Diaz was standing there with his fucking hands by his waist, almost begging to be TKO'd in the first round by Lawler. Look at the Lawler that showed up against Askren, okay? And these other Lawlers that he's been shelled up a bit, he's been taken down in that fight by Neil Magny and Colby Covington. This was a stand-up fight between Nick Diaz and Robbie Lawler. And Lawler in the first round, ruthless Robbie Lawler, is fake punching Nick Diaz. I saw it multiple times in the first round. I'm so sorry if you're a Nick Diaz fan, and you probably hate me right now. I'm a Nick Diaz fan. I've got to be honest here. They made it a fight when it probably wouldn't have been one if Lawler did actually try in that first round. I'm so sorry. Lawler was throwing fake punches. That's final. Let's talk about the fight itself, though. Great scrap. Removing all of the things I've just said about it. I swear Lawler, either out of his own good heart, wanted Nick Diaz to have a bit of a show. And he wanted to put on a bit of a show against Nick Diaz. Maybe that's what it is, and it isn't rigged behind the scenes. But they were fake fucking punches in the first round, dude. I swear to God, I've never seen anything so weird in my life. Lawler, in the second round, started picking it up big time. And people were saying he's gassed out in the first round. Not gassed out in the second round, apparently. Starts picking it up, and eventually, once he starts picking it up and actually trying to hurt Nick Diaz, he gets a finish soon after, towards the end of the second round. But I'll tell you this, they were close rounds in the first two. I don't even remember who I was scoring it to, because I was having such an emotional weirdness about the whole situation. But Nick Diaz just didn't look like he wanted to be in there, man, and I sensed the vibe all week long. You know what I think happened? Fans and friends and teammates and brothers and people randomly in the street, I think they wanted Nick Diaz to return more than Nick Diaz did want to return. And I think Nick Diaz, out of an obligation to his fans and an obligation to his teammates and an obligation to his brother and all of the people that wanted him to return so bad, he made this return not just for a bit of money, but just to do it for them more than he was doing it for himself, in my opinion. He seemed so off out there. He seemed so off all week long. And he eventually got finished in the third round. Let's talk about the finish. Again, I start having some, happiness in the second round. They're going to war a little bit now. Nick Diaz is landing some decent body shots. And then he gets clipped by not a rear hook, sorry. It was a check hook from Robbie Lawler. It wasn't the most powerful shot in the world. Don't let him come back. Don't let them come back after that long. It's not right. They should go regional scene. Try out something there and then get back in there. Have an exhibition match against someone and it's a bit of a show and then get back into the pro scene. The finish, look at Ortega in the main event, for example. 5th round, after being destroyed and battered and almost put out cold, he takes a lot of damage in the 4th and 3rd round, comes back in the 5th to try and make something happen against Volkanovski. You look at Nick Diaz. In the 3rd round, he gets clipped by that hook. Off balance, he goes down to one knee. And he just looks up at Herb and goes, nah, I'm done. It was such a weird moment for a Diaz. A Diaz to do that in the cage. I swear he never wanted to be in there in the first place. It was the weirdest fucking thing I've seen in my life. The whole fight was a weird circus show. The first round was so suspect. Towards a rigging, either towards them wanting Nick to win or them wanting it to be more of a fight than maybe it would have been if Lawler actually tried to hurt Nick Diaz with his punches. Nick Diaz goes down. He's fine on the ground, by the way. And I hate this. I hate having to disrespect him. Respect for getting back in there. Respect. Full respect. He just looks up at the ref and goes, nah, I'm good. It wasn't I'm broken, oh, you've got to step in. It was, I've been dropped. You know what I mean? Fuck it, let's just call this off. It was a weird situation. I felt like he was too okay with the idea of losing all week long. He was mentioning it so much. And here we are. And we got to linger on this. I feel so bad. It should have just been his legacy and done. Evander Holyfield, legacy, one of the GOATs, done. Stop fucking coming back. It's not worth it. You're 48. It's an emotional fucking... I loved that I was there for the moment. It was a great moment. It was an amazing moment. I now hate that it happened. And I knew I was going to hate it happened. I said Lawler was going to finish him. It's just so dumb that they let this legacy... That's what the new fans remember him by. They learn the legends of Nick Diaz. Trust me, guys. 95% of these Nick Diaz fans and these Diaz fans did not exist before Nate Diaz beat Conor McGregor the first time. I swear to God they did not. And even like a lower percentage of them didn't exist until Nate Diaz came back and did okay against Leon Edwards and beat Pettis and had his fight with Masvidal. He's been picking these fans up on his own, Nate Diaz, for a long time. Don't get me wrong, Nick Diaz was a big name back in the day. But a lot of these fans, this is their first time watching Nick Diaz fight live. And that's their memory. Him getting dropped to one knee, looking at Herb Dean and going, ah, fuck it, I'm done. I know he might have had a broken nose. I know he might have been rattled. But, like, clearly, he don't want it like that. I think he wanted to get in a cage to make everyone happy around him. And he said that in his post-fight speech. He said he had so much pressure from everyone on him. So much pressure from everyone. And that's exactly how I thought it was. I thought that was how it was before the fight started. I said that on my live stream. I said, I feel like Nick Diaz is doing this to please people. They want him back. Everyone wants him back. It's been spoken about for a while. He'll go back in there and just try his best against Robbie Lawler. And Lawler finished him. It was a great fight, though. Both guys landing good body shots. Both guys landing some good leg kicks. Nick Diaz landed a couple of good shots to the head. No leg kicks from Diaz, sorry. Lawler was chopping at the shin, chopping at the leg. I know Nick Diaz grabbed his leg at one point on the ground. He did take a couple of hard calf kicks, but man, it's just not good to see that from a legend, and it's so sad to see, but... Good fight, I guess, while it lasted. It was fun in that second round especially, but that first round, man, I swear Lawler was faking punches. I'd never seen that before in my life. He was throwing punches so pathetically. They weren't intended on hurting Nick Diaz. They weren't intended on landing on Nick Diaz. They were intended in making it look like he was actually trying. And I could see right through it, and it just felt so sad and forced. And it was such a weird fight. It was such a fucking shit show, and they shouldn't have done it. It's just, I said this before, I'll say it now, they should not have done this fight. Nick Diaz said he wants to get right back in there if he gets his ass whooped. So is he going to get right back in there? Who does he fight? Can we bring back Carlos Condit? Like, what are we going to do for Nick Diaz here? And DC said in his interview with Robbie Lawler, he said, you guys are 1-1 now. Like, they're trying to set up the trilogy. Like, I don't need that. I don't need to see Nick Diaz fight again. You know what, dude? Nick Diaz, there's this thing called Submission Underground. Go on there. Carlos Condit is on there, I think this weekend. Somewhere close. Carlos Condit is on a Submission Underground match. Go and compete at Submission Underground. Nate can be the MMA fighter and lead it there, and then we'll have a Nick Diaz spectacle versus Carlos Condit in a BJJ match on Submission Underground. There's other avenues to go down to be competitive in mixed martial arts that don't involve getting in a cage with 4-ounce gloves and really badly getting hurt. And even in the post-fight speech, the guy's fucking sounding like fucking Biden, and it's just none of the like touching kids stuff, but like none of the paedophile shit, but he's sounding a bit like Biden in the post-fight speech, and it's not good, man. I don't know what to think, but there's my opinions, and hopefully I ranted and made sense there. Lawler won. Respect to Lawler. He's even a bit older now, and I don't know if he should even continue. Like, if I was Lawler, I'd take this as an opportunity to say, you know what? I'm on a win. I beat Nick Diaz. I'm surprised he didn't retire, in all honesty. I think he should have retired, but I guess he's going to get back out there because he's going to be making some big money for himself now. People know of Robbie Lawler again. He's reinserted himself in all of our minds. He's going to get a boost of a contract, I assume, to fight someone else. But what's next? Unless Nate Diaz tries to avenge Nick Diaz's loss against Robbie Lawler in December. Because that's a very winnable fight for Nate Diaz. And he probably will win. That's what they're going to do, I think. Unless they make the trilogy between Nick Diaz and Robbie Lawler, I reckon Nate's going to fight him. And that will be the narrative. Vengeance for his older brother. Nate Diaz comes back to fight Robbie Lawler. A matchup that's never been made. A winnable matchup for Nate Diaz that he's probably going to win. In the feature fight of a pay-per-view card. Sells itself. Sells its fucking self. I will see if that's what they do next. But man, that whole thing just saddened me. And it's just... Our memories of these fighters should be of them in their prime. It should not be of them 7 years after, when they don't even want to really do it anymore. and they're just showing up for the sake of showing up. Just sadness for me with Nick Diaz's loss. I'm happy that he came back, respect that he put it out there, and I'm questioning them saying backstage to Lawler, make this a bit of a fight. I'm actually questioning that happened. And that's weird, but that was... Guys, please, don't dislike this all the time. Think about the first round. Watch it back to yourself. Look at the punches Robbie Lawler was throwing. They told Lawler backstage, I truly believe, or Lawler told himself, make this a fight with Nick Diaz. Don't blow him out the water. Make it something to talk about. Make it a scrap. And then he just looks at Herb Dean and says, nah, I'm good. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Respect to Nick Diaz for coming back. He gave me that moment of surreality. Like, I went crazy inside for a second. Like, Nick Diaz is back. It was crazy. But it's just, I don't think we need to see that again. Submission Underground, Quintet Ultra. Do something else. Like and subscribe. Toodle pip. Goodbye.